I could give a shit about Elon Musk buying Twitter. I just say, like, I could give a shit. The best part is going to be to see if that dude actually loses his $46 billion. I can't wait for this thing to be MySpace. Anyways, like, as far as I'm concerned, I hope it turns into a cesspool and they bring back RSS feeds so I can just read the decent stuff.
It'll be so much easier.
I mean, honestly, let's play this Tucker Carlson clip. This is Tucker Carlson talking about how great it's going to be. I think Tucker's
not even on Twitter, right? He quit Twitter.
He didn't quit Twitter. He was suspended for a moment and then he deleted the tweet that got him suspended and he's back on. He's back. It's some full shit. Play this clip of the everyman, Tucker McNear Swanson Carlson. And here he is. This is such the case of the dog catching the parked car.
A good news show, don't get those too often. It's April 25th, 2022. Elon Musk bought Twitter today. That means that Twitter henceforth will be privately held. Elon Musk will determine what is allowed on the platform. Now, why is this significant? Not because it signals the sudden arrival of oligarchy, as you're hearing now. It's too late for that. Oligarchy is already here. Every major tech company is already controlled by billionaires. That's been the case for a long time. So this is nothing new. The reason today's sale of Twitter is big news, the reason it could turn out to be a pivot point in our history, is that Elon Musk does not agree with the rest of the billionaires in the tech business. Unlike the leaders of Facebook, Google, Apple, Amazon, Elon Musk believes in free speech. He thinks everyone should be allowed to talk, including people who disagree with him. I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter, Musk wrote today on his new platform, because that is what free speech means.
All right, pause it for 1 second. Let's just go back on some of this. This would be clear that when all of these tech behemoths started, they also allowed anything on there. Pedophilia, child pornography. That's
ISIS.
how AOL made its bones. I remember the late Barry Crimmins going down to Congress in the late 90s, mid 90s, testifying as to what was going on in these places. And they all knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not new. If Elon Musk wants to have anybody out there and not going to censor anybody, everybody gets to speak. Put on the pedophiles and the child pornographers and the entire, let it all there. This isn't a pivot point. This isn't a pivot point in history. This guy's so like, great. Well, I can't wait to see the difference now that Twitter's going to have what morons, Stefan Molyneux or whoever. I don't even know who's been banned or not. Tucker Carlson. This ain't going to mean crap. It's just going to mean that these guys are going to be there and just more people are probably going to leave.
But you know who they're not going to cancel? The bots. Because Elon Musk saying, I welcome my nemesis. This is a guy who buys bots to go after people challenging him. This is like,
oh my God, this is a guy who called, somebody who challenged him on his like submarine rescue
the cave diving thing, the Thai cave diving thing.
Yeah. Called him a pedophile.
Yeah. I mean, that question, though, about bots is like, how do you decide what is a bot and what is protected speech? Like these sorts of questions that as if it's just a simple cut and dried is silly.
Oh, there's going to be nothing better than to watch Elon Musk have to figure out how he's going to navigate this thing. They should open it up, let it turn to a cesspool, because I want to see this thing sink. And if it doesn't, I also don't give a crap. I couldn't give a crap about same stuff. I give a damn about it. Honestly, like this is so hilarious that they are rejoicing. And I should say, having billionaires own one more platform is increasing the oligarchy. Yes. It is not just and of course, Tucker
I guess we can't do anything about oligarchy now. This is how they do that. Oh, isn't oligarchy so bad? Well, I guess it's here now.
Yeah, a good thing that good thing that Tucker is in line to inherit millions upon millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Otherwise, it might be an issue for him. But continue.
thinks everyone should be allowed to talk, including people who disagree with him. I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter, Musk wrote today on his new platform, because that is what free speech means. Now, that sounds like an entirely American sentiment, but in this atmosphere, that is a revolutionary posture. Of the 5 companies that control the flow of virtually all information that's consumed by the citizens of this country, Twitter is by far the smallest of the group. But it doesn't matter. One platform going rogue is enough to break the monopoly. That means you now have real options for expressing yourself. Going forward, if you disagree with the administration's latest directive, you get to say so out loud to an audience. So they're up there every day from the podium, the biggest megaphone in the world, commanding you to hate this or that group, lecturing you about who's good and who's evil.
All right, pause it for 1 second. First off, people should notice that he is attempting to make an argument that this is against monopoly, because the last thing that Tucker Carlson wants is genuine antitrust in this country to break the power of consolidated corporate power and money. That's the last thing he wants. So he's selling now to his rubes the idea that this is anti-monopoly. It is not anti-monopoly. Let's also be clear that just because they have a big platform, Jen Psaki or Joe Biden, it's not broadcast. People aren't watching that at all. This is the last time you know, outside of this program, you've seen any of that. None of it. Well, you got to watch it on C-SPAN or something.
I love how he's always like, they, as he says in the highest rated show on television, on cable news. They. Who, us? How many people are watching right now? 30,000 maybe?
Yeah, the powerful elites are coming after me, a top-rated cable host and the richest man in the world.
And I also want to know where's Mike Lindell? Why isn't Mike Lindell allowed to be on Fox News anymore? Yeah. What about Lara Logan? How come they are silencing Lara Logan? They are against the First Amendment because they won't let Mike Lindell onto Fox News. They won't let Lara Logan back onto Fox News. Who else have they banned?
Bill O'Reilly. Bring him back.
Yeah. Exactly. And bowling too was sidelined.
Oh my God. I mean, just because they don't want to hear the other opinion about all of those voting machines and the servers in Germany. But continue.
You get to say so out loud to an audience. So they're up there every day from the podium, the biggest megaphone in the world, commanding you to hate this or that group, lecturing you about who's good and who's evil, as if you're a child and have no right to decide for yourself these things, the basic things. But before today, you didn't have a right to express your disagreement in public. If you had an opposing opinion, or even more dangerous than that, if you had countervailing facts that undermine their storyline, the tech companies would shut you down immediately. It happened to us. It happened to a lot of people, most of whom you've never heard of. Never hearing about those people was the whole point of shutting them down. But that's over. After today, you'll be able to post your dissent in a place where other people might have a reasonable chance of seeing it. In other words, you will have a chance to change other people's minds, just like the White House does every day. So you just became a little more powerful. The people already in charge just became a little less powerful. It's that simple, and it's that profound.
Yes. So full.
I cannot negotiate with another country, last I checked, off of Twitter. But it's also confusing because he's confusing his audience with the point of a government. He's essentially saying like the corporation of Twitter owned by Elon Musk is now just as important as the official statements from the White House, which is representing the government of the United States. It's bizarre to me because I think there's something deeper there about like Elon Musk is the savior of our democracy, and like the fascism of the White House is what's really controlling all of you people. And that's why you're getting censored off Twitter, is because Joe Biden doesn't like you and doesn't want to hear your voice. And Elon Musk is here to save it.
Yeah.
And the thing is if Elon does this, I'm genuinely curious to see what he does, because if he actually does remove certain things that makes Twitter more open and free speechy, the things that come to mind are like hidden replies or limited replies even, or open DMs. And celebrities are not going to use the Twitter if they have to see every single person's replies to their tweets and stuff.
Absolutely.
And so and my guess is he's not going to touch that stuff.
No. And Wyoming Ryan has a good point too. Elon says he will authenticate all humans, and the only way to do that is with more personal information. Hey, put in my
Oh.
social security number into
Yeah.
Twitter. I don't think so.
No.
No, I don't think he needs
don't
that.
think so.
Don't forget, this is a guy who has a deal with the government. I mean, aside from this, maybe this is a really good moment for the Senate to discuss all of the other deals that he has with our government related to security, just like Peter Thiel does. I mean, is he going to use one for the other?
I can't. I'm so excited to see how this turns out. Honestly, I am. Aside from me not giving a crap about it, the only thing that actually interests me is to see how much of a train wreck this is going to be. This is the dude who invented tunnels, he thinks.
Yes. And trains. Don't forget, there's a faster way to get across the country, guys. To escape traffic, it's called a train.
It should be interesting. I do think it should be interesting. As much as like I could care less. The idea that someone went out and spent $46 billion. You could solve homelessness in this country for $46 billion.
For less than that.
Yep.
$46 billion for a vanity project. It's a vanity project. I mean, maybe it is a way of like of gathering data that he can sell. But man,
I mean, his main job, the main thing he does all day is promote himself. I think people that think he's in the engineer booth, like trying to figure out what calculations to make is silly. So of course he'd want a giant propaganda organ.
Yep.
It's also dangerous in terms of all the conversations we had about Cambridge Analytica look so baby compared to this. This is right before a pivotal election.
I don't think Twitter has the ability to impact elections in the way that, let's say, Facebook did.
I think they're very different. Facebook is a networking organ. Conversations begin on Twitter, are driven on Twitter. Narratives are
Yeah, but
this is how you create. I mean, we do it in other countries, right? We plant seeds of ideas, and then a revolution is sparked. I think it's very similar in terms of how you spread ideas.
I think this is going to increase the noise to signal ratio on Twitter. And I think it's going to end up having, I think Twitter is going to end up having less influence, not more, in the analysis. Because it really, Twitter, to the extent that it has influence, it influences journalists, right? It's not in the same way that Facebook, gets, I just think that Facebook has a different sort of profile with people. Twitter impacts journalists. And I think as the noise to signal ratio increases, it's going to be less of a valuable tool to journalists.
But it's also, stories are broken, journalists and stories. So, when AOC tweets something or when somebody responds to something, it's a New York Post article. And then it's then it's a segment on Tucker. And then there's Facebook groups that are forming. They're all connected to each other. They're not isolated. One influences the other and the other influences the other.
But with let's say, with, I don't know, Crowder not being banned on Twitter or whoever it is that has been, shadow banned on Twitter. And they come how's that going to change? What do
you mean?
How's that going to, what's going to change? I think it's just going to be, Twitter's just going to be less sort of usable for people. That's all. I mean,
it's already pretty bad. It's like, it's like it's full of bots. I mean, I found out I lost all these followers and I realized there's a bot. There were bots that were following me because whatever. Maybe at one point they liked what I was saying about the DNC. I don't know. What's real?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I just don't. I think the impact of this is going to be not at all the way that the narrative is being spun about it. I think I don't know that Tucker's going to be doing segments on Twitter 6 months from now saying this is a crap show because they're just going to pretend like it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. But Jack Dorsey didn't have great politics either.
But exactly.
Do you guys remember this from November? I'm just seeing it from the AP that apparently he asked the UN and the World Health Organization or the World Food Organization to produce a presentation for him about how he could spend his like $6 billion of Tesla shares to cure world hunger, they literally gave him a presentation and then he didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate the presentation, but it seems that MySpace is available. So I'm going
True
to
social.
let's see, world hunger, the next Friendster. What should I go for?
I remember that at the time, and like we talked about on Left Reckoning, the point was like, you can't take this guy seriously. Like all he's in there for is the headline that says Elon Musk wants a detailed, because all he wants to do is cast doubt on those figures that like it's that easy to solve this stuff. And he got his headline, and so of course he doesn't actually want to feed people.